Life in America was a fresh start for two young couples, Korede and Mofe, and Bisola and Tunde. They had known each other for years back in Nigeria, but their friendship only grew stronger when they found themselves in the same city abroad. Korede, a sharp and ambitious young man, had just landed a job in a tech company, while Tunde worked as a construction supervisor. Mofe and Bisola were homemakers, spending their days raising their children and sharing life's highs and lows. They would often gather on weekends, creating a little haven of familiarity in the foreign land. However, little did they know that their tranquil days would soon take a dark turn, unraveling secrets that had been hiding beneath the surface. One unfortunate day, Tunde was involved in a tragic accident at work. The entire construction site came to a standstill as his colleagues and supervisors tried to comprehend what had happened. The news reached Bisola, who collapsed from the shock. Her world shattered in a single instant, leaving her with nothing but her young daughter and the memories of her beloved husband. Korede and Mofe rushed to her side, offering whatever comfort they could, trying to help her bear the weight of the unimaginable loss. After the accident, life became increasingly difficult for Bisola. Though the insurance company compensated her with a monthly payment, she struggled with the loneliness and heartbreak. The funds were a safety net, but they couldn't bring back the laughter or companionship that Tunde had provided. She soon realized that living alone, without family nearby, would make it even harder to carry on. Seeing her plight, Korede and Mofe decided to invite her to stay with them. Mofe, always the compassionate one, insisted it was the least they could do for a friend who had been through so much. Bisola gratefully accepted the offer, moving into the guest room with her daughter. At first, the arrangement seemed ideal. The children played together, filling the house with joy and laughter, and Bisola gradually found a measure of peace. Yet, under this veil of goodwill, hidden feelings and intentions began to simmer, gradually setting the stage for a conflict that would fracture their once-cherished friendship. In the beginning, Mofe was pleased to see Bisola finding some semblance of happiness. She encouraged Korede to be kind and patient, knowing Bisola was still grieving. However, as the months went by, Mofe couldn't help but notice subtle changes in Korede's behavior. He was overly attentive to Bisola, offering her support and comfort in ways that felt more personal than mere friendship. He spent late evenings in the living room with Bisola, sharing conversations that once would have been reserved for Mofe. The changes stirred unease within Mofe, but she dismissed it as her imagination. She reasoned that Korede was simply being a good friend, that his gestures were only an extension of the kindness they had always shown Bisola. However, as weeks turned to months, her doubts grew stronger. Korede's frequent absence from their shared bed and his sudden eagerness to attend to Bisola at every opportunity became harder to ignore. One evening, as Mofe sat alone on their porch, she found herself reflecting on the past few months. Her husband's attentiveness towards Bisola no longer seemed innocent. Her mind raced with questions. Could Korede be developing feelings for her friend? Was there something she wasn't seeing? Torn between loyalty to her husband and the unsettling suspicions, Mofe's heart grew heavy with doubt. Unable to bear the weight of her thoughts, Mofe confided in her sister, who suggested that she confront Korede directly. But Mofe hesitated. She feared what she might uncover. To question him was to open the door to a reality she was not prepared to face. Instead, she chose silence, hoping that her doubts would dissolve with time. Unbeknownst to Mofe, Korede and Bisola had indeed grown closer. Their shared conversations deepened, and soon, an intimacy developed between them, a forbidden bond born from late-night confessions and comforting embraces. Korede, though still married, felt an attraction he could not deny. The line between friendship and something more blurred, leading them down a path that neither had expected nor could control. Each encounter brought them closer to crossing a boundary that would forever change their lives. They shared stolen glances and lingering touches, each moment adding to the silent betrayal brewing beneath Mofe's trusting gaze. One quiet evening, Mofe was called away on an overnight business trip. Left alone, Korede and Bisola found themselves in a whirlwind of emotions that had long been buried under restraint. As they sat together, a moment of vulnerability turned into an embrace, and before they realized it, they had crossed the line they had sworn to avoid. Their brief lapse in judgment ignited a secret affair, hidden under the same roof. Mofe had once opened with kindness and generosity. The guilt weighed heavily on Korede, but each time he saw Bisola, his resolve wavered. What had started as innocent compassion had transformed into something forbidden and destructive, spiraling into a betrayal that he could no longer control. Upon returning from her business trip, Mofe noticed subtle changes in Korede's demeanor. He seemed distant and withdrawn, his attention frequently shifting to his phone. Her instincts told her something was amiss, but when she tried to confront him, he dismissed her concerns. This only deepened her suspicions, leaving her feeling alienated and confused. Unable to bear the silence any longer, Mofe decided to search Korede's phone. What she discovered shattered her world. A string of messages between Korede and Bisola, messages that spoke of affection, passion, and promises made in the secrecy of the night. She was left reeling, betrayed by the two people she had trusted most. Devastated by the discovery, Mofe confronted Korede, her voice trembling with rage and sorrow. She demanded answers, and Korede, caught off guard, stammered in an attempt to justify his actions. But there were no words that could soothe the pain of betrayal. Mofe's heart broke as she realized that her marriage, built on trust and love, had been shattered beyond repair. Bisola, too, was confronted by Mofe's fury. She apologized, but her remorse could not undo the damage. The friendship that had once brought them together was now the very reason for their separation, leaving them all in a tangled web of guilt, anger, and regret. News of the affair spread quickly within their small community, casting a shadow over both families. Mofe, unable to bear the shame, decided to leave town, hoping to find peace and healing away from the painful memories. As she packed her belongings, she looked back one last time at the life she had built and lost, a bittersweet goodbye to a world she had once cherished. Korede and Bisola were left with the ruins of their choices, burdened by the guilt of a love that had cost them everything. With Mofe gone, Korede and Bisola were left alone to confront the reality of their choices. What had once felt like a forbidden thrill now weighed heavily on them both, casting shadows on every interaction. Korede tried to move forward, yet Mofe's absence was a constant reminder of his betrayal. Bisola, too, felt haunted by the emptiness in the house, as well as the loss of a friendship she had once cherished. They attempted to live as a couple, but the ease they had once felt was now replaced by guilt and silence. They both sensed that their connection had been built on the ruins of someone else's happiness, and no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were bound together by sorrow and betrayal, rather than love. As the months passed, Korede tried to settle into his new life with Bisola and her daughter. They attempted to blend their lives into a semblance of normalcy, yet they were met with constant challenges. Bisola struggled to fill the emotional void left by Tunde, while Korede found himself plagued by memories of his marriage to Mofe. Their relationship was a strange mixture of love and regret, woven together by a shared history that was as painful as it was binding. Despite their best efforts, the guilt became a festering wound, growing deeper each day. The past, instead of fading, seemed to linger, ever present in their minds, making each day feel like a burden. Bisola wondered if the price of her happiness was worth the pain she had caused, and Korede found himself drifting, unable to reconcile his choices. The weight of their secret began to strain their relationship. What they once viewed as an escape from loneliness and grief became a constant reminder of their betrayal. They were no longer the carefree friends who had laughed and shared secrets. Instead, they were burdened by shame and haunted by the shadows of their actions. Each time they looked into each other's eyes, they saw not love, but the pain they had inflicted on others. Bisola began to pull away, spending more time alone, and Korede, too, found himself retreating into his work. Their relationship, once intense and passionate, grew cold and distant, a shadow of the bond they had once shared. Unbeknownst to Korede and Bisola, Mofe had spent the past months working through her pain, determined to rebuild her life. She had found solace in a new town, forming friendships that helped her cope with her grief. Slowly, she began to find peace, yet a part of her still felt incomplete, as if her story with Korede had not truly ended. One day, she decided to return to the city, not to rekindle her marriage, but to face the memories she had left behind. Her unexpected arrival sent shockwaves through Korede and Bisola's lives, reigniting old wounds and forcing them to confront the choices that had led them to where they were. Mofe's return brought with it a swirl of emotions. She met with Korede, their conversation tense and filled with unspoken words. Mofe appeared calm, but her eyes held a mixture of hurt and strength. She did not seek reconciliation. Rather, she wanted closure, a way to finally put the past behind her. For Bisola, seeing Mofe again was agonizing. She was reminded of the friendship they had shared and the bond they had destroyed. The guilt resurfaced, overwhelming her, and she realized that no matter how much time passed, she could never truly escape the consequences of her actions. Unable to carry the burden any longer, Mofe asked to speak with Bisola alone. They met in a quiet park, where the air was heavy with tension. Mofe spoke calmly, yet her words were sharp, revealing the depth of her betrayal and hurt. She didn't hold back, telling Bisola of the pain she had endured and the struggle she had faced to rebuild her life. Bisola listened, her face pale, tears streaming down her cheeks as Mofe laid bare the scars left by their actions. She finally understood the full weight of her choices, and in that moment, she realized that her pursuit of happiness had come at an unbearable cost to someone she had once loved as a sister. After the confrontation, Korede found himself torn between two worlds. He couldn't deny the feelings he still had for Mofe, nor could he forget the relationship he had built with Bisola. Mofe, now stronger and more self-assured, gave Korede an ultimatum. Either he leave Bisola and start anew, or he let her go completely and forever. Korede was left with a decision that would shape the rest of his life. He grappled with his emotions, feeling pulled between the love he had lost and the life he had tried to create with Bisola. It was a choice he knew he could not delay any longer. Unable to decide, Korede fell into a state of turmoil. The strain grew unbearable, and Bisola sensed his distance, realizing that he was slipping away. She confronted him, demanding to know his true feelings, forcing him to admit the truth he had been avoiding. Korede confessed that he still loved Mofe, that he had never truly let her go. Bisola, devastated, realized that their relationship had been built on false promises. In her heart, she knew they could never find happiness together, not when their foundation was so deeply rooted in betrayal. In the end, Korede chose to let Bisola go. Their relationship had been built on shared grief and forbidden attraction, but it lacked the solid ground needed to withstand life's trials. Bisola accepted his decision, heartbroken yet understanding that this was the only way to find peace. She decided to leave, taking her daughter with her. Though the insurance payments provided some security, she knew she had to find a new path, one that was free from the shadows of her past mistakes. As she packed her things, she looked back on the life she had tried to build with Korede, grateful for the lessons but eager to move on. With Bisola gone, Korede was left alone to reflect on the decisions that had led to this moment. He reached out to Mofe, hoping to start anew, yet she was cautious, aware of the hurt they had both endured. Mofe insisted that if they were to rebuild, it would have to be slowly, with honesty at the core. They began to see each other again, cautiously learning to trust once more. Their journey was far from easy, yet they were both committed to healing the wounds that had torn them apart. It was a slow, painful process, but they found strength in the love that had survived even the darkest times. Months turned into years, and Korede and Mofe slowly rebuilt their relationship. They worked to mend the broken pieces of their marriage, guided by the lessons of the past. Together, they forged a new path, one based on trust, forgiveness, and a deep understanding of the fragility of love. Meanwhile, Bisola moved to a new city, finding a job and building a life for her daughter. She learned to live with her mistakes, vowing never to let herself be consumed by another's shadow. She found strength in her independence, discovering a peace that eluded her before. In the end, each of them found a new beginning, shaped by the choices they had made and the lessons they had learned. Their lives, forever intertwined, stood as a testament to the complexities of love, betrayal, and redemption. And though they had each suffered, they emerged stronger, carrying with them the scars that told the story of lives touched by friendship, broken by desire, and healed by forgiveness.